Hello skater friends, and welcome to this video that I've been thinking about making for quite some time, but I wasn't really sure what that top 5 should be of things that I wish I had known when I started skating more than 20 years ago, and things that I would probably have changed if I could go back in time. There's going to be 5 of them, and they may apply to different people out there, but I still recommend all of you to listen to all 5 of them because there's a big chance that at least one of them is going to apply to you, and hopefully you can make those changes that I feel like I should have done back then. They're either very technical, but some of them are also just more, general ways to think about skating and things that I believe can make almost any skater out there a little better. The first of them is the thing that I just see way too often, is that bigger wheels are not necessarily better wheels. It really depends what skater you are. It depends how you're built, how old you are, and what stage in your skating career you're at. Yes, the fastest times, the fastest marathons, they are set on 125mm wheels, which is also what I use when I race and compete at an international elite level. However, to a lot of people, and me included, we do skate better if we have smaller wheels. More contact points, say 4 wheels instead of 3 wheels, allows you to steer a little better and you're just more maneuverable on your skates, which will allow you to smoothly, slowly improve your skating because you can control your skates. They're not controlling you. That said, the larger wheels, well, they do have more momentum and it's easier to keep a certain cruise speed if you have the technique to control them. But if you're still developing technically and if you're new on skates just looking to skate well, have fun, I do recommend smaller wheels and, if possible, 4 wheels. It absorbs more of that bouncing when skating if you have more contact points. Also, the closer you are to the ground, the lower a center of gravity you will have, which again allows you to just skate better and control your skates better. So if you're still trying to just skate better, not necessarily faster yet, I do want to point out though that to a lot of people, smaller wheels will be faster. And especially if you're still growing. I've seen way too many junior skaters, young skaters that have massive wheels and they can barely lift them off the ground, which is definitely just going to force you to implement some terrible habits in your skating that can take years to get rid of as you grow up and grow stronger. The next thing I want to highlight and recommend is for you guys to always put technique first. Skating is a physical sport, and if you do it as fast as you can or when you compete, well, you are going to be physically limited, but by far the biggest limitation in skating is your technique. You will find a lot of fit people, a lot of cyclist runners out there. If they put on skate, well, guess what? They won't skate very fast. But if you have the technical fundamentals, then you can easily catch up in shape. I'm not saying easily, but it's much easier to get fit than to get fast on skates and to become good at skating. So develop your technique first. Your time and your energy is really well spent if you focus on technique. To the people that I coach, well, in the description you can read more if you're interested in having me as your online coach, but the people that I coach, I always implement at least the same amount of technical workouts, so like different drills or different focus points, as I do with the actual skating workouts. So that is one thing that we can only underestimate the value of, especially if you're a younger skater or new to skating. Make sure to put that before anything else. And like most things, it is a lot easier to learn new habits and learn skills when you're younger. So for young people, young skaters, it should really just be about figuring out how to skate well. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't make it too boring. Don't go for long, steady pace skates. You can always do that as you grow older. Figure out skating first and then get fit after. And very often skating exercises, if you do them well, if you sit low, they will also work your muscles and ultimately your cardiovascular system. So it's a win-win. Which also brings me to my next point, the agility aspect. One thing, the third thing I wish I'd done more of was play games. It's very, very easy when you're so focused and I want to improve, I want to get good. You put so much structure, which is a good thing in general, but you put so much structure that you forget the fun part of skating. You forget to play around and you forget to just put on your skates and go for a soccer game or a basketball game with your skates on. One thing that I really loved doing as a kid, but I thought it wouldn't help me develop, and now I came to realize that agility is so crucial. I am very certain that a lot of you can relate to being a little scared on skates. And once you're scared, you're not entirely comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, you can't apply all your pressure. So you need to get loosened up. You need to loosen up And a good way to do that is just by getting your mind off for a bit and then trust your instincts. Things such as playing games, skate backwards, skate the other way around, and just, you know, I grew up playing a lot of hockey on skates. It's another great thing I recommend. Play catch on skates, get a little outside your comfort zone, and that is naturally just gonna develop those skills and make you able to instantly develop speed, which at the end of a race when we're completely exhausted, it is to some extent impossible to fully apply good technique. And this is where if we do it instinctively, then we can just maintain that speed, and in the end that's probably one of the things that can make the difference. Fourth thing that you should make sure to have or figure out when you get into skating, and that I wish I had spent more energy trying to organize, is to get a good training group. And by good training group, I don't just mean good skaters. I mean skaters that you like, skaters that are available, skaters of different level, just a group to connect with. There is the social aspect of skating. You're much more likely to stay within the sport, even when skating isn't fun, when the weather isn't great, when you're out of shape. If you also have that social aspect bringing you out there, making sure you show up to all the workouts. But also, if we talk more technically, having a training group will help you develop skills that you simply cannot train on your own. Things like pack skills. How do you enter a pack? How do you manage to relax in your skating even when there's people in front of you, behind you, next to you? That was one thing that I grew up training way too much on my own, even though I had great coaches. I did too many solo skates where I simply just ended up being very relaxed in my own skating, but then the second we would go to track races, a bunch of skaters, narrow tracks, well, I couldn't even extend my legs, and most of the time I just froze and cramped up because I was just so tense. I couldn't relax in that, and skating in a group of people is incredibly different to skating on your own. Not necessarily meaning that you should always skate with people. It is good physically, mentally, it's good to be capable of training on your own, but a very good mix of those two things is ideal. So try and find a good training group for the motivation, but also for the technical aspect of being able to skate in a group, which in almost any race you go to, you will end up skating in big packs of people. I've heard so many stories about people that felt good, had a good pace, then they went to the Berlin Marathon. There's 10,000 skaters there, and you throw them in the middle of that, they freeze and they end up blowing up in their legs after simply just a few kilometers because they're not used to skating with other people. So try and force that, and also you're very likely to have fun if you have buddies to share that skating experience with. My final point is for you to train on a bunch of different surfaces. As you can see here, there is a massive difference between smooth asphalt made for skating at a closed area, and then in here you would have an entirely different surface, right? The cement of this is not necessarily as grippy, and it's also heavy for the legs, but it could also be things like cobblestones even. If you have skated the Berlin Marathon, I've been to even European and World Championships where we had cobblestones that we had to skate on, and the experience and the fatigue and the issues that that causes is also an entirely different thing depending on that surface. It's a very easy thing to get a habit of just finding, you know, the most comfortable place to skate and then go there and skate there. And then all of a sudden you're going to an international race or a race somewhere else and it's completely different. You're not used to uphills, downhills, left turns or right turns depending on where you usually train. And for me, the biggest thing has been rough surfaces. It's just so hard on the back, the lower back, it's so hard on the shins, even the ankles. So where I've been skating, at times I'm skating somewhere super fast, I get used to that speed, and all of a sudden at a race you have to work for it, and it's an entirely different sport. So make sure you get out there, train in different surfaces, train in the rain if possible, but also train somewhere where it's just not as comfortable. It's a really good investment, and it will allow you to perform better when the day comes and it's either faster than you're used to or not as fast. There's also rinks or tracks such as Geisingen. It's incredibly fast. There's so much pressure in the turn. So even though it's a fast track, it's also hard for the muscles. So the only way to really prepare for this is just to throw yourself out there in different environments, and also very often it tends to be fun to try and skate at different places. So make sure of that opportunity. That was my final thing to share with you guys, the final of these 5 things that I wish I had done differently. The good thing about skating is that I still got the chance to choose or try and improve on all these things. And I also get the opportunity to share it all with you guys. If you're interested in my training plans, they're somewhere below in the description of this. And if you're interested in more videos, more guides or recommendations, well, you'll find it right here on my YouTube channel. I appreciate your time, and I really wish you the best of fun on your skates, and don't make these mistakes. I'll see you for next time.